Once again, I appreciate the invite to do a program for the chapter again, which is always a distinct pleasure. And I'm very honored to have our national president on with us tonight as well. So again, I have titled this program Short Line Regional Rail with a subtitle called The Partial Savior, Preserving Interest in Present American Railroading for the Rail Photographer. And I say that because with many other things, things on class ones are they become very generic and cookie cutter. And to find any real type of, variety, you have to go on smaller regional and short line railroads to, find a variety of older power that is being reused as a second owner and a second life. And there's still, luckily, still plenty of that around. And I'm going to showcase that across many different railroads here tonight. So starting off, this was back in 2016. Strasburg had their SW8 switcher 8618, I think, down for maintenance. And for a while there, I think Strasburg had leased Maine Eastern GP9 764 to handle their freight interchange duties with Norfolk Southern on the Keystone corridor. So this was something rather odd at the time at Strasburg. So when I was there, 9 years ago, I snapped a picture of it sitting right here at their yard, right by the locomotive and restoration shops. Moving on, this was my first real encounter with the Reading Northern Railroad. Bill Cochran and I went up here 9 years ago. We, at the time, chased the Pittston North Fast Freight. And luckily on this day, it had a Lehigh Gorge Scenic Railway ST50, number 426, in a very nice looking blue and gray scheme leading the train. And here they are going past the Hart's Concrete Supply Company in Hamburg, Pennsylvania, heading up to Pittston. And this was later in the day. This is on the return back to either Port Clinton or North Reading. Here he is passing through what's known as Zaner's on the Reading and Northern in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania. And here he is coming again through Tamaqua proper, downtown Tamaqua. You can still get this shot today, but as you see right here along with the platform is they've since added a fence line along here, and you can still get the shot, but you have to go almost to the top step on the tower to get the shot today. So a little bit more obstructed currently, but still doable for a worthy photo of a train heading back toward Reading coming through Tamaqua. And here he is again, heading back to uh, Port Clinton, passing through the small town of New Ringgold. Coming past the well-known spot known as Miller's Crossing in Orwigsburg. And here he is pulling in to Port Clinton. I'm not sure if the train terminated here this day or if he went back to North Reading. And this was prior to chasing the PNFF. We stopped by not far from Reading Yard and we found ST38 2003 switching cars here with a local yard crew. Not too often you get to see an ST38 in active rail service. And some of the staged power that they have in Tamaqua for the Tamaqua turns. Here you have SD4-2 3057 along with N5 caboose 9 N9 2850 staged in Tamaqua. Another pup that was sitting at Reading was SW8 800. Luckily, the Reading Northern still has plenty of these units employed and can get several photos of them either running or staged around several of um, the towns that or terminals that Reading Northern is based out of or serves. Moving on to SMS up in Bridgeport, New Jersey. This is their AS 616 554, which was after this time was currently undergoing, I think, restoration. And then next to it is BNO VO 1000 412, which was not owned by SMS. It was being leased from a local rail historical society, and it was used in active switching freight service at the time back in 2017. And this is one of their staple units out of Bridgeport, former Santa Fe B23-7 4211, still wearing the classic blue bonnet scheme. We rode along with Brian Murray and his crew, who I'm friends with, who is the GM of SMS, and here they are working one of the customers down the line from Bridgeport. So we got a couple of shots while they shifted cars around here. And this unit was under, I guess, restoration through SMS. Again, this is the B&O V&O 1412 along with X Long Island Railroad FA2 309 in Bridgeport. I'm not sure that that FA now might be off the property, sent elsewhere. I think I heard something about that not too long ago. So I'm not sure what the story if that was, but I think that might be off the property now. Might be off the property now since this photo was taken. And inside, this is what we know now is 060 number 9. This is when it was in its early stages of restoration. And sure glad it's running now. It's a fantastic little engine, and anyone who's not had a chance to photograph it yet on the Woodstown Central, I highly recommend it. As myself and Doug Scott and Bill Kalkman and Jim Kleeman and a bunch of other rail photographers got to do back in September during one of their photo charters. And just more commonplace of SMS, it's like the home of Baldwin's. Here you have two S12s here, numbers 300 and 308, idling in between duties in Bridgeport. And just inside the shop, not sure if this Baldwin was being either cannibalized or refurbished, but here you see, as I call it, the Baldwin's anatomy inside the Bridgeport shop at SMS. And here's another nice looking Baldwin. This is a Pennsy DS44 1000, which SMS still uses in active freight service, along with somebody's personal boat being stored in the shop as well. Just outside, more various Baldwins. You have S12 306, again, AS 616 554, the B&O VO 1000 412, all staged outside in the outside the Bridgeport shop. And now this is in Winslow Junction in Hampton, New Jersey. This is the Southern Railroad, New Jersey, and this is M420W 3578. I've yet to photograph this railroad in operation. This just happened to be, we were, I think, up chasing NJ Transit trains on the Atlantic City line, and the power was out of the engine house here, and stopped by and got a quick photograph of it sitting outside the engine house in Winslow Junction. And this is in Salem. This is Alco S2 number 59. Pretty sad shape. And I think Woodstown Central has since acquired this engine because when we rode the said photo charter back in September, this unit was sitting outside the big paper mill toward the one end of the line where we shot the train. So I think since SMS and Woodstown has since bought this unit and now is on their property up in Woodstown. Again, another piece of on the Southern River, New Jersey. This is GP9 100 in a mock Jersey Central scheme. And this is my only encounter with the Juniata Valley in operation. I took a multi-day trip railfan the NS Pittsburgh line back in 2017 and driving through Lewistown. These guys were switching Lewistown Yard, and this is a North Shore SW8 364 in the classic Erie Lackawanna scheme. And this is the Landisville Railroad. This is not far from the Strasburg Railroad. They work right off Amtrak's Keystone Corridor, and this is their SW 900 number 8651, nicely painted in a look-alike Chesney paint scheme. Have yet to get these guys in operation either. But a lot of the time, as seen in these pictures, the power is staged outside, easily accessible for photos when they're shut down on weekends. And also, this was GP9U 1650, which I think was in the middle of getting a repaint, as seen here in primer, and the inside of the windows being protected with newspaper. Back at Rain Northern, a classic scene at Port Clinton. You can find a wide variety power lined up here on any given day. In this case, you have SC4-2s, 3050, 3055, SW8 802, and GP39RN 2532, all staged at Port Clinton. This is the B&O Museum. This is, I think, the only unit that I knew of that the Baltimore and Annapolis Railroad had. This is their 70 tonner, which is on display at the B&O in not very good shape. Luckily preserved, and anybody can go down and see it anytime they want. So I threw this in the presentation as well, along with former Canton Railroad VO 1032, which also is owned by the B&M Museum in Baltimore, Maryland. Back when I ran in Northern, one of their they had two of their recently acquired GP30s from the BNSF, which they designated as GP39 RNs once arriving to the Radiant Northern. Here they are on a excursion passing through the fall colors in Nesquehoning, Pennsylvania. And here's the other maroon scheme they're in. I think something happened with the RDCs along the way, and they had to send one of the Jeep 39s up for rescue service. And here he is passing Tamaqua. And since these photos were taken, both the nice maroon and the green Jeep 39 RNs have really been faded and could definitely use a touch up or repaint. Now moving on to the East Penn. This is based in Kennett Square, and this is the typical power that you'll find them when they're out working on the road. This is GP38-3 2800 in October of 2020. Another shot of it with nice reflection in the puddle that was there. And two units nose to nose. You have the 2800 and GP18 1800 in between duties. This was an oddball consist. This was Rain Northern, and this job was classified as WCRB. And here you have one of the fast freight SD50s when it was in the red and gray scheme, which is now in the black and gray scheme. And you have Jeep 38-2 2014, 2011, SD40- and SD40-2 3055. So quite a dog's breakfast of motive power on the slight engine move heading back toward North Reading, passing through Mooresville. Speaking of the SD50, here it is in the current schemes they wear in the fast freight black and silver scheme as a Lehigh Gorge scenic train departs, and they had the this SD50-2 on display at Jim Thorpe for a while after it was repainted before it went back into revenue service. There's just a roster shot of it in downtown Jim Thorpe. More pups you can see. A lot of times at actually the Reading Outer Station, I'll have a series of pups lined up here. In this case, you have SW8M 802, SW1500 1548, and MP15s 1542 and 1543. Something that you won't see very often on classic ones anymore, or class ones, that is. And back at Fort Clinton, this was ex-Sun New Jersey F7A, formerly of the Bessemer and Lake Erie. And rumor has it, Radiant Northern bought two of these F units, and I think eventually they're going to try and turn one in and restore it and match it with an ABA set with the F9 to make a full ABA set. So that's hopefully coming down the works in the next couple of years to join the 270 and 271. And just more power lined up. Another MP15, SD4-2, and SD50 at Port Clinton. There's the other SD50 in the red and gray before it got repainted into the black and gray scheme. And now this is on East Penn. This is GP9 1701, which they use to serve their York operations. And I think since this unit has gone out of service and they have the Jeep 7 or 9 Pennsy 7580 doing the York service now, from what I read on Facebook the other day. This was always staged at York right off their trackage, easily accessible for photos when they're not running on a weekend. More things you won't see on York Rail. You have GP10 1755 and CF7 1500. A lot of the CF7 since then have been cut up and scrapped and no longer to be seen again in revenue service. Just one of their many ex-Conrail GP15-1s that York Rail employs on many of their different turns they run out of York. Real nice sun in the mornings here to get shots of power staged at Lincoln Yard. And moving on to the Canton Railroad, this is their KLW locomotive. I'm not going to read the official designation. They're just known as Knoxville Locomotive Works units. That is their primary power for they use to switch their customers around the Canton area of Baltimore. And here it is in a nice snow-covered scene at Penn Mary Yard on a weekend back in February of 2021. And there's former Jeep 7R 1364, which is waiting to be removed or scrapped. That's still sitting on site. And occasionally, you'll still be able to get one of the SW 1500s out running around on their local jobs. So here, one day, they had one stage outside of the shops right at Penn Mary Yard.
You know what that sign means there? Brake stick use is mandatory.
I'm assuming they have to use brake sticks when they're applying or taking off the handbrakes off the freight cars.
Okay.
Yep. And this is my only photos of the Steelton High Spire Railroad, which is on borrowed time. These are some of their roddy looking SW9s that they use to serve the steel mill in Steelton. And I think they're on borrowed time. I think they still do operate, but I think soon this is all going to be a thing of the past. And I never did get these in operation. They were just staged here along NS's Steelton branch. So I just snagged a photo, not knowing whether I would ever get photos of them again before they either meet their maker or leave the property. And this is at Reading Northern's Tuckerton Yard. This is the North Reading Fast Freight waiting for the outbound crew to get on with SC40-2 3052 on the point, and the Fast Freight SD50 trailing. So while we are here, just got a couple nice shots while they're waiting for the outbound crew to take it north. Another roster shot of the Fast Freight when it was in the red and gray scheme. And here he is. I think this was a couple weeks later. Here he is on the point of NRFF, passing through Mooresville, crossing Main Street. And the second unit is a former Admiral cab, Norfolk Southern SD40-2, that's being waited to be painted to Reading Northern colors. Back at York Rail, showing some of the other power staged on the weekend at Lincoln Yard. And here we are on the Millstown and Hubblestown Railroad. Went up there several times and got photos of their Western Maryland speed lettering Alco S6, um, which is normally staged outside. Luckily, this day, this is on a weekend. They very rarely run on weekends. And while we were here, a crew showed up and said they had to go up to the interchange with Norfolk Southern off the Amtrak Keystone Line to pick up a string of tank cars, and here they are rolling down Brown Street toward the NS interchange, doing some street running that you don't often get to see on a weekend here around in the eastern part of the country. It's just really neat to get them street running and outgo street running. This is a photo you can't get anymore. Here we have a nice Harley Davidson staged, and Cuppy's Diner, which has since been closed, which is sad 'cause the neon sign served as a great prop for photos of the M&H working here. So I'm glad I got the shot when I did, because this shot cannot be repeated as it looks in this photo here. And here they are at the east end of the yard, running around. They're cut off of the tank cars, which they dropped off right there in the photo, which they had picked up from the interchange with Norfolk Southern off the Keystone line. And back at Landisville Railroad, they also have a bunch of smaller engines. Here's a 25 ton number 94. I did some research, can never find the backstory on the history of this locomotive, but Landisville Railroad has a bunch of these smaller units, and I couldn't find the designation for this unit either. I just have it labeled as an industrial switcher, but they have these around the property for your photographical pleasure if you ever were to visit in that area. Some neat little critters. And back at East Penn, doing some static long exposure night photography. This is GP10 number 1700, which has since been repainted in the bicentennial 1776, along next to GP18 1800. And my understanding is that the 1776 has been, I think, moved closer to Lansdale on the East Penn's operation. It's no longer based out of Kennett Square for the time being, so I never got to see the engine since its repaint. I'll have to go up there one time and get it working at close to Lansdale, hopefully one time. Just another angle of the units seen out back at night. And this is my first encounter with the Maryland Midland in operation. This is the Union Bridge to Highfield turn. Here the crew is back running on their late afternoon schedule. And here is the crew is getting the power ready to couple onto the train to head to Highfield in downtown Union Bridge. There's their yard office and headquarters on the left. If they've coupled up to their train, getting ready to depart town on the former Western Maryland. And here he is, not far out of Union Bridge, passing Keymar. You can see some of the former Western Maryland signals in the background that are still active. A lot of people refer to them as traffic light signals. And here he is, passing through the split at Rocky Ridge, coming into downtown Thurmont, where they frequently stop and switch customers. And this is where I would end the brief chase today when we ran out of usable light for the end of the day here. So more from him later on. And here is, at the time, was York Rail's newest edition. This is GP 15-1, 1549, which they acquired at the time and was dropped off by CSX here. And here it was left at Spring Grove for a little while before York Rail came and picked it up. And now we move on to the Gettysburg and Northern. This is on Good Friday back in the springtime of 2021 with ex-Illinois Central Gulf GP10 handling the job um, they ran between Gettysburg and north of Biglerville. Here they are drilling International Paper in Biglerville, taking a cut of cars out of the building. You still vaguely see the Death Star logo on the nose of the GP10 of the Illinois Central Gulf. Wide angle shot of them drilling cars at International Paper. And here they are passing the little depot in Gardner's, Pennsylvania, running light. And here they are cut onto two covered hoppers at Ziegler Brothers and Gardner's, passing the well-known corn silos coming back into Gettysburg, passing through a nice farm coming back into outer Gettysburg right here, running with one car through Peach Glen. And here's the Pennsylvania Southern. I've yet to get these guys in action. They serve a lot of people around the Letterkenny Army Depot up in Chambersburg. And here is their SW 1200, 1211 painted in a very patriotic paint scheme, easily accessible. I'm not sure when they work, but it would be nice to get up there and get photos of them in action one day. And here is SW 1200 RS number 1210 outside their facility in Chambersburg. And here they have two 80 tonners, number 1674 and 1685, one of which used to serve the U.S. Army before coming to the Pennsylvania Southern. You see the U.S. Army lettering still on the 1685, nicely looking 80 tonners. And back at York Rail, documenting the last days of the CF7s before they meet their maker with the scrapper's torch. And two of their GP16s in the yard. And this has been my only encounter with the Winchester and Western so far. This was train 301, which ran from Inwood to interchange with Norfolk Southern at Vardo Yard in Hagerstown. And luckily this day they had a nice GATX G38-2 on the point. And here they are heading out of Inwood Martinsburg, headed toward Vardo Yard in the late afternoon or evening. Here he is climbing the hill in Berkeley, West Virginia. It's a zoom view, and here's a wide view. Here he is passing through falling waters. Again, it was going so slow, maybe 10 miles an hour, you could ride a bicycle and chase him. So we got many shots of him within a mile or two. You get several shots. Here he is creeping through falling waters again. And he's finally reached Bardo Yard where he'll interchange freight traffic with Norfolk Southern and Hagerstown. And he pulled down to the south end of Hagerstown Bardo Yard. So we got pictures of them shifting cars around here in evening light. Back at the East Penn, G38-2, 2179 in between duties outside of the Kennett Square headquarters. Photo no longer repeated. Gettysburg Northern's F7A number 401, which was staged outside their locomotive shops and have since been sold off. Still kept in good shape, but never to be used again. Down at the B&O Museum, this is the Octa River Railroad slash B&O RS2 number 3, which is staged outside of the North Car Shop at the B&O Museum. And this actually belongs to the Pixel Solution Paper Company in Spring Grove. This is, I believe, former Pennsy SW 1200 number 98, which they used to interchange with York Rail and switch cars around their facility in Spring Grove. Here he is, right outside their big paper plant in Spring Grove. And here is York Rail's RJ2 road job, which runs from Lincoln Yard to Hanover and back. And here they are switching at Spring Grove, light power. Here they are passing through Spring Grove, just having passed the big, massive Pixel paper plant in Spring Grove. They stopped here for briefly, so it offered many different photo angles to be had while they sat here for a good 5 or 10 minutes, which was fortunate for us. And here they are switching, interchanging traffic with rail traffic with CSX at Spring Grove. While they stopped here, got different photo vantage points to shoot the power from. Did a lot of switching here, which afforded a lot of photo opportunities. And here they are on the way back to York, um, passing the Pixel paper plant in Spring Grove. This is known as Smith's in Spring Grove, Pennsylvania. And here they are heading through Thomasville, not far outside of York, and coming around the curve back into Lincoln Yard in York. Back in Lincoln Yard, making cuts in his consist before wrapping up the day. And here's the downtown York job, which is known as the MPA job. And here Bill Calk and I took this trip. And here they are switching the American Colloid metal Easting plant in York. So while they switched here, got many different photo angles to get while they switched the plant here. And here they are in downtown York, across Codorus Creek with a nice reflection in the creek bed. And here they're passing the Barton Associates building at left, coming out of downtown York, Pennsylvania. Switching at Lock Lane in York. And here they are at the classic Diamond in York, right there at the former Westmoreland Railway Tower. Notice how the sky looks like a roll of Cottonelle rippled toilet paper, as I call it. And so while we're out, we also caught the RJ2 coming back from Hanover. And this they're passing the Frito-Lay spur in York. And then here, once the MPA was done, then they turned into Yard Service One and came out and did some additional switching. And this is at the A&S Kennard warehousing facility in York. So it's quite an active day with several jobs running on York Rail that day. And here they are serving the Frito-Lay plant in York. And they're crossing North Zarfoss Drive. Well, that's wintry scene here. Now passing the Pennsy Supply Incorporated Thomasville Quarry in Thomasville, Pennsylvania. And here they are coming back into right outside of Lincoln Yard in York. And here they are pulling a cut of cars out of the Church and Dwight Company in York, which is right there in the left side of the frame. And here he's coming through West Market Street with a nice fade, but nicely beer sign with a penguin on this building here at left, which that is a uh, proper element to incorporate in the photo here. And here we have the Lancaster Gas Company. This is SW 1200 number 19, and then there's 65 tonner based out their facility here at Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. Never got them in action. It's kind of a drive-by type of shoot right here. And now we're on the eastern shore with Delmarva Central. Here we're at their base in Harrington with Jeep 38-2 2503 in between duties here. Very nice looking units, and I think the owner of the railroad is hell bent on keeping them clean, which is a good thing. So really nice looking units. And here comes the HA1 road jog um, from Herring coming to Felton here, Felton, Delaware, back to Harrington. With a nice ST4-3 on the point. And while they switched Harrington Yard, got plenty of different opportunities for different photo angles, passing some staged MOW equipment on the siding. And this is what we came out for. This is a local SC1 based out of Seaford. And here he is with bookend MP15s on either end coming through Eden, Maryland. And here he is coming through Princess Anne, to the quintessential scene of many different grain bins on the Maryland's eastern, in Delaware's eastern shore. Passing Casat Tower in Pocomoke City, Maryland, which we thought we would not get this shot because the bridge tender had a lot of time or a hell of a time trying to get the bridge lined up for the train to pass and cross the Pocomoke River here.
Any reason why those headlights are off center? Have any idea?
I believe that was an SP design. They're former SP motors. Now it's an SP design, I believe, because they came off the SP. Here they are coming through Pocomoke City again, just a little farther south. Passing an out of season, I guess, farm or fruit stand or vegetable stand in Eden. Passing some more chicken houses and grain bins in Pocomoke City. Heading back through Princess Anne, heading the other way, heading back toward home. This is in Westover, Maryland. And while we were on the way out there, we stopped by the Allen Myers Delmar asphalt plant, where former Sioux Line GP9 139 nicknamed Emma, um, I guess is their shop switcher. I don't know if it's active or not, but when it's out this far, it's easily photographed from a grade crossing right here on Delmar. Always good to see former Sioux Line units in original paint, as seen here. with many truckloads of asphalt going in and out of the plant. Wish there was that many trains as there were trucks going in and out this day. And this is my only real encounter with the Buckingham branch. This is down in Doswell. And here Amtrak 90 passes GP 40 number 6 at Doswell. Another shot of GP 40 number 6. I've yet to get these guys switching on the road. I'd like to do that one time. Unlucky unit number 13 with the scared as hell black cat on the side. Don't know what pissed off that cat, but it wasn't me. I know that. And up on the Everett Railroad, this is their SW 900 at the time, which was recently repainted in Lehigh Valley garb. This photo is not oversaturated. This is how bright it looks in person. It's definitely it catches your eye, and this is the way it looks. And would love to get it, either switching on their freight service on one of their excursion trains one time. This day it was out on display at outside their Hollidaysburg depot. Really nice looking unit. Back at York Rail, another day with the downtown yard job MPA working downtown York. There they have a bunch of armored multi-purpose vehicles that they brought out of the BAE Combat Systems plant up in York. Always neat to see military loads on a freight train going away, coming out of the BAE Combat Facility in York. It was a beautiful day for photography this day. Great light, beautiful blue sky, white clouds, really great day, and their power is always great. That orange always really pops. And here he is coming back into Lincoln Yard. This was like right when when the crew got on duty in the morning, getting started for the day. And as you see in the back, you have a yard job working here. So nice to get two trains in one shot. You got these guys shoving their constants in. You got the yard crew working over here in the distance. Well, I thought that turned out to be a neat shot right there. Now in the Delaware Lackawanna, I've never gotten these guys really on the road. Just gotten them, switching around Scranton. Anyway, here's M630 moving, pulling a train in, coming into Scranton here, right by, was it Bridge or Tower 60, whatever they call it up there. And here they are passing the former Lackawanna Station turned Radisson Hotel in downtown Scranton. This is technically on the road, but I didn't get them any farther than this. I don't have many deep in their territory at all. And here they are passing Rahway Valley 280 number 15 on display at Steamtown. And here's one of their C425s just posed nicely here in the sun, right outside of what Bridge 60 right here. Always great to see Alco's in great shape, still in active service on an active freight line. And here we got C425, yeah, C425, 2452, and C636, 3643 passing them right here. Great stuff. Back on Great Northern, these two SC50-2s were running as Protect units during the Reading 2102, one of their Rambles excursions after the recent restoration of the O2 back in 2022. So here they are doing freight protect duty ahead of the train at Tamaqua, hometown, Pennsylvania. And this day, the O2 was in freight service, and here they are running late to Tamaqua to pick up a cut of coal hopper. So here he's running 10 and first out to Tamaqua to pick up his consist. And boy, this T1 is a beautiful, great looking engine. It sounds just as good as it looks. So glad to see a T1 in active service. So here he is coming in Tamaqua, where he'll cut on to his cut of coal hoppers, be towed back to North Reading. So now he's on his train, and the train is profiled as PNEX, and now he's departing Tamaqua to head back to North Reading with a cut of coal hoppers back at New Ringgold, coming through Mooresville, Leesport, and he did some switching once he got into switching the concepts once he got back to Reading Outer Station, where the train terminated for the day. Here he is after he's cut off his train, maneuvering the big T1 around. And Andy Muller was at the throttle that day. You see him leaning out of the cab while he's doing his reverse move. So you got to see the boss man in action this day, running his beloved T1. And here he is from the overpass at Reading Outer Station, fitting a Reading T1 pulling anthracite coal. What a fitting picture, except with modern coal hoppers. Back at the Delaware Lackawanna with some more of their big Century Alcos sitting around. This is, again, Alco C636 3643 at Scranton. Better shot. Have you seen the GP7Rs at Canton waiting to meet their maker? Not the best shot. Just wanted to shoot them where they are to show their to show them before they eventually go away into history. And this was my first multi-day Railfan trip. Bill Kalkman and Jim Kleeman and I went up to Railfan and RJ Corman in the Buffalo and Pittsburgh. On the way up, we Railfan the RJ Corman. And luckily at Clearfield, when we were fueling up for the morning, they had no trains running out of Clearfield. But luckily, we ran into an RJ Corman truck at the gas station, and the guy said they were going to be loading a coal train and climber. And luckily, we intercepted the train on the way down the climber, and here they are maneuvering their power around in Cherry Tree. So while they did that, it afforded many different photo angles here while they got their power in order before they headed to the loader and climber. Nice partial reflection. And since then, the RJ Corman has now acquired some ST70s, which they use on these trains. Yeah, at this time they were still down, I think, in uh, Kentucky or Tennessee and hadn't made their way up here yet. So we'll have to make a visit up there and get the big ST70s on the coal trains. They're loading more coal trains out of Clymer. And here, these are the rear end pushers on the train headed to Clymer and Cherry Tree. This was profiled as train RJC1. Here's a head end coming around the kind of like a horseshoe curve in Starford with a nice SD4-2 on the point. Another railroad that takes pride in keeping their motive power very sharp and clean looking. It's always appreciated by us rail dweebs. And here he is coming in the outskirts of Clymer. As you see, we're going to load the train up with coal. Now he's at Clymer proper, right around the bend is where the coal is being loaded. And while they do that slow process, it gives you several chances to get varying photo angles while the train's being loaded, as we see right here. I mean, who gets to see, four SD40-2s on a revenue train these days? Hardly anybody. What more can you ask for? RJ Corps employee looks on as the train finishes loading up the last few hoppers at Clymer before heading back to Clearfield. On the move now, heading out of Clymer, coming through Commodore, Pennsylvania. You could hear these guys working up grade 10 minutes well before they got there, which is a sweet sound. Back in Cherry Tree, here they split the train in two. Not sure what the purpose was, but we took advantage of the extra opportunity for photos as they shuffle their power and consist around. And so the next day, went up to Du Bois and caught Buffalo and Pittsburgh job DB2 working Du Bois Yard. Next day, this is what we came out to see. Up until recently, Buffalo and Pittsburgh had acquired a lot of the former Conrail SC60M and I's and road service, and I wanted to go up there to get these guys in action. And luckily, we got them both on the Rissy and Siri road freights. Here is the Siri road freight, which is the Salamanca to Riker Yard turn, coming through Droney with SC60I 3882 on the point, passing the B&O style CPLs in Mount Jewett. And this was a coal train. We just while chasing the Siri, we saw this coal train stopped here, so we got some photos of it while I was staged here. And this is SC60M 3889 on the point of this train. And unbeknownst to us, it got a crew on it and it departed and headed north. And here it is heading through the outskirts of Mount Jewett with a long coal train in tow. Passing through Bingham and Cyclone, Pennsylvania. Coming through what's known as Tune on the Railroad, coming through Bradford, Pennsylvania. Passing through downtown Bradford. Passing the Steel Truss Bridge in Carrollton, New York. And here's the Riker to Salamanca turn, switching in Tuna with SC40-2 3323 on the point, which is a former Chicago Northwestern unit given away by the bell on the nose of the engine, which was a trademark of the CNW EMDs. Two shots, them switching their consist in Tuna. Passing through downtown Bradford. Again, passing, going over the steel truss bridges in Carrollton. Pulling into Salamanca, where again, this crew will hand off to the night crew, which will take the train north of here at night, typically. And also up there, you can catch the Western New York and Pennsylvania. This is their OL2 Olean turn with C424, 426 on the point, which is, I believe, a former Beltway of Chicago unit on the point in Great Valley, New York. And here we have former CSX CW60ACs now working on the Western New York, Pennsylvania. But since then, these units have been sold off too, and I'm glad we got these shots when we did because these units are no more on the WNYMP as well. Nice looking units after their post operating career with CSX. Always one of my favorite units on CSX. Now they're passing underneath the truss bridges in Carrollton, passing under the Buffalo and Pittsburgh main line. Here they are coming into Allegheny, which is not far out of Olean. Back with the Rissy Road freight at Carrollton at right and Salamanca at left. Quite the array of paint schemes and road power here. Some more outgoes, C424, 426 at left, and C425, 427 at right outside of the uh, WNYMP's facility in Olean. Back out again, the LL2 passing to Allegheny. Back around the BMP main in Carrollton. Passing through Killbuck, doing what Alcos do, smoking things up. This is where they interchange with Buffalo and Pittsburgh and Salamanca. This is as far as the WNYMP goes before going back to Olean. Now they're heading back to Olean, departing Salamanca. Back around to the BMP in Carrollton. Again, back to Killbuck. Passing through Limestone. Back in Great Valley. Back through Allegheny again. And here's the former Buffalo, Rochester, and Pittsburgh Railway Depot in Salamanca, where um, the Buffalo and Pittsburgh and WNYMP interchange here. And here's the Ceres Road freight getting ready to leave Salamanca to head back to Riker Yard, waiting for the outbound crew to show up about 8:30 in the morning. Day. Got some big power on this train. Good um, 6 units. On the move in Carrollton, blasting south, back through Tuna, back through Bradford. We'll stop here and switch. Past the former Foster Brook plant in Bradford. Coming through Lewis Run. Passing through Rassless. And coming again through Mount Jewett. And this is Johnsonburg. This is actually where like the midpoint between Riker Yard and Salamanca, New York is. This is where both road trains will swap and take their uh, train the other way, and they always stop here in Johnsonburg to do that. And this is passing through the huge Domtar plant in Johnsonburg right here, which is a massive facility, and they're not very rail fan friendly. You have to find spots so they can't legally chase you off. I know we had ran into some guys who told us to get the hell out, and we had to find some spots where they couldn't legally touch us. And there's the Domtar plant in the background as the Ceres Road freight continues back to Riker Yard after swapping crews in Johnsonburg. Back with the Maryland Midland, Bob Kaplan, Bill Kalkman, and I spent a day of rail fanning the UBHF on the morning schedule. And this was during the Canada wildfires. So you got the smoky, cloudy air, which, as you see here, passing through Rocky Ridge. Here they are passing a cemetery in Grayson, Maryland, heading toward Union Bridge. I mean, not Union Bridge, Highfield, excuse me. Um, into the CSX interchange at Highfield, Cascade, Maryland, where Maryland Midland will interchange traffic with CSX. Classic Dodge pickup truck here. And here's my only shot of their Heritage unit, Jeep 40-3, 2060, which is in the original orange and blue paint scheme. Luckily, this train led the train back light power back to Union Bridge, and here they are passing the farm in Detour, Maryland. And this unit has since been out of service awaiting repairs, and hopefully it'll get back on the road again one day. Here they are running light through Middleburg and coming in back to Union Bridge proper with the former Westmoreland Railway Depot, which is now the home of the Westmoreland Historical Society in Union Bridge. And they went up to Lehigh to I guess switch a bunch of cement cars as seen here in Union Bridge, or shoving kind of cars in this case. Back with Ray Northern, this is Admiral Cab SC40-2, 3059 leading the NRFF in the evening through Hamburg past Hart's Concrete and Supply again. Now with East Penn, this is the OCT 28 job running out of Kennett Square, passing through Tokenaman. They actually derailed here, which halted their plans. We had to go find another job to find, and luckily they re-railed and ran later in the afternoon. So this is why they were assessing the situation here in Tokenaman. So we went out and found the Wilmington Northern job, and here they are passing through Westchester with single Jeep 38-3 2800 on the point, passing through the KOA facility in Embryville, Pennsylvania, or KOA campground, I should say. Nice reflection in Embryville. Coming through Mortonville, passing through Pocopson/Westchester, Pennsylvania. Coming through Pocopson, where the crew will end their day and tie the train down here. Another nice reflection shot. And this is the OCT 28 has now had their train re-railed and resuming their switching duties, switching here in Oxford, Pennsylvania. Another railroad that keeps their power clean and a nice looking paint scheme. Passing for I believe it's a former station right there in Oxford. And sunlight that came out as they passed the Hoover Treated Wood Products facility in Oxford. And back at Canton, my only time getting them while they were working Penn Mary Yard on a grim day in March 2024. Pulling some tankers to Penn Mary Yard. Hammerhead style with the KLW 1987. Passing the Care First building in Baltimore. And here's the waste management operation in Jessup, Maryland. This is USWX SW8 number 2, which has since I think, been retired due to mechanical issues. So it's a rowdy looking unit, but I'm glad I got it in service here as they switch their trash hoppers, which they interchange with the CSX trash train. I believe it's L-157 that comes out of Dahlgren, Virginia to come up in Jessup to interchange with the waste management folks here in Jessup. Smoking up a little bit as he revs the engine. Moving on to the Maryland, Delaware. This is before they were taken over by DCR and when they still had the RS3Ms running. Here's the job running through Barclay, Maryland, headed south to toward Townsend, Delaware. No line where they run barely 10 miles an hour. You can get ahead of them very easily and get multiple different shots. Here they're headed back through Barclay the other way at Robert, serving the Purdue Agribusiness Roberts Grain Elevator facility in Churchill, Maryland. Passing through the small town of Goltz. Back in Massey, Maryland, where this job is based out of. Here they are just switching their consists before tying up for the day in Massey. Passing through Millington, Maryland. Coming through Barclay again. This is just south of Barclay. Through South Millington, Maryland. Another shot out to South Millington. South of Sudlersville. In Sudlersville proper, that's home to the Sudlersville Railroad Museum and that little depot right there. Switching Purdue Agribusiness, their Sudlersville elevator in Sudlersville. At Wenger's Feed Mill in Massey, Maryland, and coming through West Townsend, Delaware. Again, Ray Northern, the two SD50s are running protect duty for the O2 on a ramble trip to Tunkhannock here in Mountaintop, passing through Falls, Pennsylvania, which is not far out of Tunkhannock. And this is the Maryland Midland. This was just last year. Jim Kleeman, Bill Kalkman, and I shot the Maryland Midland, which had recently reinstated the Union Bridge to Emory Grove turn, as they seen here departing Union Bridge for Emory Grove, passing the defunct Western Maryland signals in New Windsor. Passing through Avondale, very nice shot. This is crossing Hahn Road in Westminster. This is passing the Barracks Sun Quarry in Finksburg. And here they are passing Reisterstown Lumber on the way back to Union Bridge. This is where we lost track of the train for the day and would not see it again due to, I think, switching somewhere else along the line. And this SD50 is a former unit from Australia when some of the rail fans nickname it the Kangaroo Killer since it came from Australia. And this is up at the Durabon pipe company in Steelton. They have a few nice little switchers that you can photograph when they're working, not working. So I've stopped up there a couple times just to get a couple of shots of their units. And this is recently, this was earlier back in August, and this is the Middletown and Hummelstown switching some cars in their yard on the weekend with Western on S6 once again. And it was nice to catch them switching on a weekend again, which is pretty rare, but found them doing some light yard work here at the east end of their yard in Middletown. Bit of a mixed concept there, passenger car with two box cars. Here they are tying the unit down for the day after switching briefly. This was up at the Boonton Historical Society. This is former Morristown Erie C424 on display at the United Railroad Historical Society in Boonton. And here's their current power, G15-1s, number 25 and 24 on at Morristown between duties. And also they run with this leased NJT G40PH-2 4105, I think for PTC or signaling when they run on NJ Transit. And that's the end.
Very good.
All right, very good.
Yeah, nice variety of short lines. You got out practically all the time. Often they only run in the middle of the week, so
Well, a lot of the time it's when I had time off of work, being a school teacher, or I took time off. A lot of time it was like on spring break or winter break when I had weeks off at a time and was fortunate enough to do that. And that's just not even cracking the surface for all the short lines that run across the nation, which I would like to get to at some point. So, but I think that's a pretty good collection right there over the last probably, 4 or 5 years, I'd say.
All right. Well, again, Alex, thank you so much. That was a great show and appreciate all the effort you put into it. And thanks everybody for attending tonight.